One question we get from people all the time is, how do I dissolve my LLC? Now, this could be a multi-step process, and it really does depend on what state you are located in. Hey there, this is attorney Sarah Holmes of Holmes Business Law P.C. We are a business and trademark law firm that also provides general counsel subscription services to business owners. So if you have a business that you want to dissolve, or rather a business entity like an LLC that you want to dissolve, there are a couple steps you need to take. So first would be to look at paying off all debts of the business. If you have vendor invoices, certainly taxes is a big one. Any place that your business may own money, you first want to pay off the debts. Now, to pay off the debts, do you need to sell off some assets? Do you need to collect accounts receivable? Anything that's still open in the business, you want to think about winding down. So in terms of the second step, really figuring out what contracts need to be terminated, if a lease has to be terminated, if you are owed deposits back by anyone, vendors that may owe you for refunds, anything like that. So first, collecting all the money in the business, paying off all its debt, now looking at what contracts are open, getting those terminated, getting any type of leases or other agreements that are open closed out. Those are all your beginning steps before you can start to dissolve your LLC. Now, once you've done that, if you have employees, you really need to wind down the employees. This may or may not happen before you start paying off the debts and collecting any outstanding receivables that you have. But as far as employees go, figure out how you're going to handle that. Obviously, people hear horror stories all the time about from one day to the next. Maybe there's a restaurant that was open, the next day it's closed, and they text their employees, at midnight saying, "Don't come in tomorrow because we're closing." That's usually not the best way to go about winding down a business. Sometimes it's inevitable, and that's the way people have to do it. But if you have employees, you definitely want to treat them with respect, treat them with kindness if they are losing their jobs. And there may, in fact, be forms that you have to give them from unemployment, things regarding health insurance, COBRA coverage that you are legally obligated to give employees that you were terminating because you're going to wind down your business. So again, with employment issues, consider that carefully and definitely get help with legal counsel if you have employees that you need to terminate due to winding down or dissolving your LLC. Now, next is to figure out what's going to happen to all the IP in the business. So some of the IP stands for intellectual property, and that could be things like trademarks of the business or names, logos. Are you going to continue to use those in the future? If you have a business partner and you are thinking about dissolving an LLC, the biggest issue that we see is partners fighting over things like the business name and the customer list. Is someone going to be able to use those things in the future? Most of the time in a dissolution, those things are up for grabs, and either one of the members or any of the partners could in fact potentially use those things in the future. So it may be best for you to decide before you dissolve the business who is in fact going to have access and be able to use those things forward into the future. So figure out what's happening to those. Then the next thing you have to do is close the books. By that I mean, don't spend any more money and run it through the business bank account. Don't take in any more money and run it through the business bank account. Be done with all transactions so that your books can be closed and reconciled and done. Once that's done, you need to have your accountant do final tax return filings with the state. And this applies mainly in Pennsylvania, but once they have done and submitted final tax returns, your accountant should also be applying for tax clearance certificates in the state of Pennsylvania. Now, there's going to be several that have to be issued. One is by the Department of Revenue and one is Labor and Industry. Once those are issued, it could take up to 10 months. Then you can file legally to dissolve your business with the state. So it could be a very long process. It could take 10 to 12 months. And of course, if you need help dissolving, feel free to reach out to our office. It's 215-482-0285. Thanks.